Links to join the channel here or over on Subscribestar. Thanks to everyone's support. So, reviewing the media's most pretentious best comics of 2022 from Bleeding Fool. You know, just because the comics are bad, it's like it doesn't mean that the covers can't be great and the interior art can't be great, because a lot of times they are. And it sucks to read the stories and you look at some of the art and the coloring and like the technology that goes into modern artwork, and then you look at the stories and like, what a waste. What an absolute waste to have some SJW story just come in there. And like even something like this, I mean, this is probably done on a computer, right? The saturation of the colors, to have backgrounds. I mean, was it like 20 years ago, people would probably look at a cover like this and just think, God, it would be amazing if we could do that. I only hope that our stories will match. It's like, no. Well, the art has improved from the old processes in the, like to go from like what, 4-color process on up, on up, on up. And now it's just like works of art. And you look at the stories, like, what happened to the stories? Well, what happened to the people? They turned into friggin' SJWs. And the stories are all, do they give her tits at least? Give her something to look at. The stories are all just absolute dog shit. Yeah, I think most people would rather read Monica Rambeau than what's that chick's name? I don't remember her name anymore. The other chick, Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. So anyway, one of the comics that made this list is Strange Academy, which is on issue, I don't know, it's been about a year. It's comics of 2022. I mean, even a title such as that is just so stupid. I saw someone that did an article on the best and worst movies of 2022. I'm looking at them like, this I have to read, because the worst movies, that would be all of them, and the best movies, maybe some micro budget like Kevin Smith movie that nobody's. Did Clerks Part 3 come out in 2022? So I mean, something like that. I'd be like, is that the best movie of 2022? Some like $2 million budget movie? Yeah, probably would be. Something like that. Because anything in the mainstream is like, what are you talking about? Some mainstream Disney? Yeah, it's crap. And if you think it's good, then you need to have a come to Jesus moment. Anyway, so this is one of the comics that made the list. Like one of the when the people, this guy, Mercury News interviewed this guy working at a comic book shop in San Diego or something, and he came up with these top 8 comics for 2022, and you look at him, you look at these comics, like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like, how do you are you just completely have you completely acquiesced? You just bow your head and you tell these people, I want to just be honest, is what I'm trying to say. It's like, oh, it all fucking sucks this year. It's fucking sucks for the past 10 years because a bunch of SJWs in the industry decided to put everyone out of business. Oh, can I say that? Yeah. Oh, no, we'll blacklist you. We'll get you out of business. The business isn't going to be around in a few years anyway. It's like, oh, blacklist me, get me kicked out of the business a year earlier. Big fucking deal. Like, comics suck because it's taken over by insane people who've got this bizarro anti-white agenda and far left-wing Bolshevik talking points in every single fucking comic. It's like, gee, it's like the pages of the headlines are writ large in the comics. What happened to escapism? Oh no, we're not going to have any of that. Why not? I think it'd probably sell pretty well, because that's not what we're into. Anyway, so comics of 2022. I mean, just the title alone is just like, manga of 2022. People will get behind that. The thing is, unless it's comics gate, then just get the fuck out of here. Strange Academy was on this list. It's a Harry Potter's Hogwarts type of thing, but cringy and lame and without any of the talent of J.K. Rowling, who was their darling 20 years ago when she wrote those 7 books that were just mega huge hits. And then the movies came out, and it's like, that was a mega huge hit too. And like, oh, we love J.K. Rowling, we love this universe. Oh, but she thinks that men aren't women. Let me let you left-wing kids in on something. I know you're not listening to this, but 10 years from now, you're going to think, oh, J.K. Rowling was right. I wish our parents gave us more structure. I really miss I wish they hadn't let me cut my breasts off. I really kind of missed not being able to breastfeed my kids. Yeah, really. You know what kids really need? Structure. And 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you're going to look back, those of you who are around, are going to look back and wonder why your parents were just so easily brainwashed. You're going to look at your parents, and you're not going to have as much respect for them as you're going to look at them in a different light when you realize, like, they just went along to get along, and they weren't willing to die on the hill of not letting you be brainwashed. But I mean, really, it's like, if your kids are watching TV or social media, you can't beat 24/7 propaganda. The only way to end that is to not have it, like, literally in your house. Oh, what do you have in the way of social media and TV? Oh, we don't have TVs and we don't have social media. We have books. And there's passcodes on everything. So, I mean, the kids can read books and there is no social media. Oh, well, won't they be, they won't be adjusted for the modern world. Yeah, that's the point. We homeschool, so they're not adjusted for the modern world. But my son at least knows he's a son. A son. Oh, well, the weird thing about the globalist cat ladies, a lot of these people who don't have kids, is they think they know how to raise your kids. And it's the kind of the lives of TikTok phenomenon where she's showcasing all these bizarro teachers and these people get on social media and the homeschooling terrifies them. Because honestly, if you had like 10 years of homeschooling kids, you would have a nation again. Like you would have things radically different. Anyway, so no, there's no good comics of 2022 unless it's something coming from Comicsgate. So Strange Academy is on the list, the Harry Potter type of thing. The thing is, what is it's Harry Potter Strange Academy, but it's even more diverse than Harry Potter was at the time. The thing is, that's not a selling point to me. It's not a selling point to a lot of people. And the thing is, I'm finally seeing other people who are just coming out and saying what I have been saying for years. Like I've always been a little bit politically incorrect. But speaking truth to power, you have to put it in their words, and then they just they fumble all of themselves, falling backwards until finally they just have to threaten you. So the thing is, other people are finally saying that if you see a pox walks furry otherkin, this diversity purse puppy type of stuff on the cover, then it's going to be an automatic no. It's not always true for a mox pox BLT. I think that would be men of whatever. But if it's a female, it's going to be unreadable or unwatchable. We don't even give it a shot because it's always a soft bigotry of lower expectations by a soy boy and cat lady. It's always going to be blonde man bad. If you see blue or green eyes in the story, then you know the story. The question is asked and answered on the cover. And the other weird thing, kind of in this culture war vein, and this might sound like bullshit, is I always wasn't like this. Believe it or not, I used to be a much different person. Even though, like, being politically incorrect doesn't mean you're some kind of hateful filled bigot. It just means you're saying what you're honestly seeing. You're giving if someone asks you for opinion, you give the honest opinion. It doesn't mean you're cruel. You can say it couching in as kind language as possible, but it just means telling the truth to the extent you can. The thing is, millions of people weren't like this either. It's sort of an evolution of society according to game theory as shown in comics, movies, and social media. When people act as groups to advance their interests and they're openly istophobic against you, well, it's only a matter of time before you see the situation and you start to get tribal also. Even if it starts in a commercial sense, why would you support people who hate us, the beautiful people of the light, the people of, I don't know, Volvos and Uggs? Why I hope Uggs are, I don't know who makes Uggs, probably made in Japan. Why would you even be around these type of people? Why support? No, I don't want to be an ally. You can be an ally to us if you like, but I'm not going to be an ally to you. You people are the abusers. We are the marginalized and oppressed. Why? Because I feel we are. I mean, because once you have an appeal to emotion, it's like, oh, everything's an appeal to emotion. I thank God I'm not in college in these days, like to be 20 and in college, because I would probably be killed. I would be in a much different place against them. Anyway, why would we want to be lectured to by these monsters? Yes, if you hate us, then you're a monster. That's kind of the definition of the world, the word. This growing of this in-group preferences is exciting to see because it finally allows us to set up infrastructure to advance our interests, even if it's just in a commercial sense. Necessity is the mother of invention. Now it seems like all of Hollywood and comics is anti-white. There's no point in supporting that system. It's because we're awesome. It's better to start our own, and to be fair, it's not all tribally based like that. It's also sort of a split between conservative people who are not afraid to just tell the truth and these godless Bolshevik parasites. Because now that I do think about it, there are a lot of people of all different tribes on different sides of the aisles. There's a fair amount of Pox conservatives and far right Christians, like who's that? Bryson Gray wants to build I almost said Christian ethno state, but I guess it wouldn't be a Christian state within America. And you look at that and you go, well, if that's the best option to hope for, I think there'd probably be a lot of people to get behind. He's some kind of political rapper or something on YouTube, but he's also a pox. So Mike Miller wasn't allowed to crowdfund his Lone Star comic, excellently drawn comic, because the crowdfunder said that the gang members in the comic were marginalized and oppressed systematically othered, and a bunch of other Marxist nonsense. The thing is, like, all those hot words, that since they're all appeals to emotion, you can just say, "Oh yeah, they apply to us too. It's the people of the light because we feel we're marginalized and oppressed in the media." Oh, but you're not. But we feel we are, and that's valid. But it's not valid. But we feel it is, and you feel it's different. I guess reasonable adults will just have to learn to disagree. But you're wrong. But again, I mean, suddenly it's like, oh, we need to get objective facts and evidence. No, if once you start by appealing to emotion, then you can be rebutted with appeal to emotion. Honestly, we should set up some class on like how to argue with SJWs, but how to argue in their terms, like just endless appeals to emotion. The thing is, you quickly realize you have different definitions of words. Like literally the istophobic terms, we all have different definitions of those words, but they control the media, so they're able to. Well, I'll say they control the mainstream media, though we are starting to make inroads in the alt media. Anyway, so Mike Miller and Lone Star wasn't able to get crowdfunded on Kickstarter, I think. I don't know. The thing is, there's like a lot of normal adults who are looking at all this, and we just see communism cycling up again. It cycles up every few decades when you have enough low IQ brainwashed kids who are drinking the Kool-Aid. Anyway, so there's this fundamental schism between nation and globe, between tribal and Bolshevism, and mainstream comics. It's all globalism all the time. You literally cannot tell a tribal story in mainstream comics or pop culture at all. When you look at Willow or Rings of Power or Wheel of Time or any of this other crap that comes out, they refuse to allow Europeans to tell European stories. Slowly they erase them from pop culture and history, making them as if they never existed. Even when they're the golden geese who breathed life into these stories that created these universes. That's a bit of a mix. Anyway, so I look at Strange Academy. I say to myself, I would prefer different tribal characters who share a culture and a blood, who are connected, who are one people, who are of their ancestors and gods. Those stories have more value to me. I don't want to see globalist propaganda. For some reason, that the thing is, it's not the the best way to awaken from the globalist matrix is you get on Twitter for like a few months and you follow 500 to 1,000 blue check marked accounts, and you just pattern recognition. Anyway, to even say that you want to see your tribe is deeply problematic to these people. What? You want to see people who look like you, who share a lineage and a history? How dare you? Yes, because I value us. I hold us in esteem. Now, why don't they make comics or movies that tell those stories of tribe and nation, of fighting for things that matter? Surely there's room in comics to tell nationalist stories, except that there isn't, and neither in films either. Let me tell you why. Because those stories would sell. People are tribal because they're not globalists. Globalism is astroturfed. I mean, obviously, Moses Mordecai Levy, right? If movies or comics came out with something like Lord of the Rings now, it would be huge. It would blow the doors off of everything. To see people who at least look like they belong together would have verisimilitude, and the Hollywood machine cannot have people challenge the narrative and present a counter-narrative that would be very, very attractive to people. As Eric Weinstein said in that one interview, sorry for bumping the mic, we can't have these people see themselves as a tribe. Why not? Anyway, so you could tell some story based on European mythology, and Twitter would be losing their mind over it, telling you that you need to replace the European characters in the Euro story with non-Euro characters, because that's what they value. We don't have their values. We value us, our tribe. We want to see our stories told, and yet, oddly enough, the Hollywood machine or pop culture in general won't tell our stories because they need to replace us in our own stories. Doesn't that seem odd to you? There's an untapped market of people who want pro-Europa stories where every other group gets their stories, except for this one little group of European people. But the pop culture machine won't serve that market. It really makes you think, really activates the elements, as Medicare would say. There is no shortage of Strange Academy stories out there, but doesn't it seem odd that there isn't a type of story like that, but just with English or Irish or Polish people? You just don't have stories just with Europeans in it. They have to be replaced But the reverse isn't true. They don't tell a Chinese story and put Africans and Irish in there. Okay, this is sounding like too base for YouTube. Why do only the Europeans have to be removed from their own stories? Especially when you consider that there's a market for it. Because comics, movies, and pop culture is a social engineering brainwashing machine where they have brainwashed people into thinking that if you want to see your tribe and your stories, then you're Hugo Boss. It's the amazing power of generational propaganda. So no, there are no good mainstream comics because they're all just there to push a narrative. Once you put on the sunglasses from They Live with Wes Craven, I think. Shit, I don't know who did that. That was a great movie, though. I think that was one of his earlier lower budget films. I mean, you see the talent even with the lower budget. I think he also did that movie, The Thing, or the remake of The Thing. Sorry, people get triggered when you don't notice like a book or movies or remake or a cover song or something. Fair enough. Anyway, so in a way, I'm thankful for the Hollywood machine for forcing us to change, to see ourselves as tribal, to start getting those in-group preferences. I think to how much the past few years has changed me to help me see the world as it is, down the rabbit hole, and I represent millions of people who are finally, yes, there are millions of people just like me. Isn't that an interesting thought? Who are finally seeing the world and these evil people in it, demons. At the very least, there is no reason to support people who hate us. It's time to support us, our own tribe, first. Once you see them and how much they hate you, it changes everything. You can't even look at their comics and movies. They won't surprise you with a good one because there aren't any. There won't be any good comics that slip through the cracks because all writers and editors there have a narrative to push. Even if a writer comes up with something good, a childhood tale inspired from his own youth, 3 blonde kids go off to fight the dragon or something, the editor gets it and says, okay, let's make this a little Pox Walks BLT furry other king girl. Instead of a dragon, it's a Trump clone in a white sheet. Because that's the real problem in America. Those guys running around in laundry, they're actually the ones who are terrorizing the inner city. And the Pox Walks BLT girls. Oh yeah, let's change all the blonde boys out to walks. Then they'll fight the intolerant small town Trump analog in a pickup truck, and he's got a stars and bars and a rifle rack, and you get the idea. It's just nothing but propaganda. And then when I say, yeah, I don't want that, I want the original story, they ad hominem and deflect. Oh, you don't value Pox Walks BLT? Frankly, no. Why would I value that? Nothing against them, but I value my tribe more. I want to see our stories. Those Pox Walks are not me. They're other people. I have nothing in common with them. I don't want to see other people's stories, and frankly, I think it's a little weird that this machine pretends not to understand this. It's the meme of you must be istophobic if you value your tribe above all others. Then the glowing red laser eyes. It's like, yes, challenge accepted. Which is the point. Nothing changes until you start moving the window to the right, which you can help me do with a Subscribestar donation for new equipment. How'd you like that subtle segue into a plug? The point of all this is we have to normalize pointing these issues out and moving the window. Not exactly to the right. That what is it? The two-dimensional spectrum of a line. Welcome to line land, to flat land, whatever. It's more that we need to give people the mental option of making the choice to have in-group preferences and to see themselves as a tribe and to support that tribe and many other wonderful and terrific things. It was always there. You see how tribal other groups are. It's just like under the surface. All we got to scratch is that thin veneer, wash off that thin veneer of political correctness and get to the core and like discover this great machinery that's just waiting to get oxygen, breathe it back into life. Other tribes get the things they want. If we get tribal, we can do things that would be impossible as long as we remain scattered sheep and under the thumb of these puppet masters. Comics, movies, sure, and small businesses for us, by us. Who knows, maybe banks and financial institutions. Give, Send, Go and Subscribestar are already out there. And I know Give, Send, Go is our guys. I'm not sure about Subscribestar. But I mean, they came up as an alt to Patreon, which so many of us have been kicked off of. That they probably are, or at least supporting free speech. If you continue to accept this hate by these demons, then you'll get more of it. But you can simply sidestep it by withdrawing from them and forming our own in-groups. We don't need conflict. We don't even need to deal with these people at all. We just need to recognize that they're demons, and we want to be demon-free. And, as I say this sounds a little bit too much for YouTube. Anyway, so how do I clean it up? It's like the whole thing is just kind of one long politically incorrect dog whistle. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.